We'll call the meeting to order. We have the minutes from the January 8th. We'll do that one first. We have two sets of minutes.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Before we begin the meeting, I have to express my concern about the fact that the meeting is being cut short for two reasons. There are many items on this agenda that we've been carrying as baggage from meeting to meeting and not. One of them being something that I consider very important, this one, the leadership package and all that code of conduct. That's something we've been carrying. So,
We're going to get to all of that.
but the thing is, I'm also concerned that we don't want to set a precedent for doing this because we may be in violation of the open meeting law. Because you publish the time, you publish an agenda. Now, maybe a third of the agenda is going to be gone. And that may be on the fringe of violating open meeting law. I haven't really gone back and looked at it. That's my only concern. So we should attempt not to do this.
So, with all due respect, I disagree with you. I think that we're going to get through the agenda just fine today. If you see the new agenda, Louise and I worked very closely together to abbreviate some things. I think that my director's update is going to be extremely important, and I think it's going to be a lot of information in there. So, and I agree that we are cutting short today because we do have interviews happening for the office assistant position afterwards. The conference rooms were scarce today for availability. So, sometimes some things have to change, and we will get through with whatever we can get through with. I think that going forward, some of the agenda meetings are going to be a little bit different than they were in the past. So I respectfully just would like to hold off any other comments like that until the end of the meeting, and then just go from there.
One other thing that Luis and I talked about is perhaps we've got to look at the agenda and look at things that are high priority and move them up front and do them first.
I completely agree. I also feel like the director's update should be one of the first ones.
Absolutely.
So, with that said, we'll go with how the agenda is written up today. There was a lot of changes happening with myself being new staff, new board members or board members not here, the illnesses that are going around. So it's like we just have to adapt to the changes, and we'll make arrangements and change things around as necessary.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Alrighty. As we go along, we'll just talk fast and no extraneous comments today, so we can try to get through the whole agenda. Looking at the minutes from January 8th, I had just a few, not corrections, but suggestions. When it says COA meeting, it should say COA board meeting, I think, to differentiate. There are a couple places at that. And then when it says members in attendance, it has Holly's name, and Holly is not a member of the board. So I think that should be.
She's not a member. Oh, I get it. All right.
Yeah, so, and then, especially in January, we had so many guests here. There should be a separate place, guests in attendance. The members in attendance and then guests in attendance. To list them separately. They're listed all the way down here, but I think to list them at the top as well would be. On Cynthia's report, I would eliminate the word "our," just say transportation coordinator, and say the training she was having, I would put in route match so that it clarifies what kind of training that she had been doing. I don't understand number 11, when discuss the future goals of the Friends. Was that the list of things they had for the 20th? I didn't understand what that was.
That too. Yeah.
Barbara, do you recall?
Well, I'm looking for it right now in my computer.
So I just want to note that with again the office changes that we had, and not having the minutes that were actually written originally from our office assistant who is no longer here,
Yeah.
it was required of me to go back to watch that whole agenda and February's agenda. And where Barbara and I have met a couple on different occasions, I did reach out to her because people have asked, what can I do to
Yes.
help you
Oh,
out?
surely.
So I asked her, and she very willingly, without hesitation, agreed to go and watch those two agendas for me.
That's
and
wonderful, yes.
put the minutes together. I mean, saved me hours and hours of countless time that it would have taken me. So first off, I want to thank Barbara for doing that.
And we do as well. We do
Yeah,
as well.
and we can certainly revise anything that you would like. However, I do not recall number 11 off the top of my head. I may have been, if memory serves me at all, that I was planning on working closely with the Friends to have them come up with ideas to raise money for the Senior Center and Council on Aging, but I can't be 100% certain.
I thought that
it
might
was just
be-
a general conversation about how the Friends had a list of goals and they were going to try to break them down into a friend being in charge of the different things they were going to do. And they had run out of time, so they were going to have to concentrate on their June or July meeting. I'd have to rewatch
No, I know.
the
I
video,
thought-
but I can tell you that it was just a general conversation
Wasn't
about
it the January meeting that they gave the list of each month what they wanted to
Yes.
do for the 20th?
Yes.
So that could have been what it was as well.
Yeah, I'd have
I'm
to
not sure.
rewatch it, but I didn't think it was necessary to write down every part of what they, what we.
No, I just didn't
Well,
know.
these are the things that they say.
Right, and then they said they abandoned that because that's gonna be too,
Right, it's
Much.
too
Yeah.
ambitious that
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
for the time frame. No, I just didn't understand what that was. So, okay, are there any other corrections, additions? I have a motion to.
I have a general comment, because what we talked about before. I went online and I looked up examples of minutes, of the way, do's and don'ts, and there are a few things that I feel we ought to adapt. One of them being, the meeting was called to order and you specify the time. Similarly, when you adjourn, the meeting adjourned at and put in the time. The other thing is that we noticed was each paragraph, each action item each item here should result in some kind of, as a result of this presentation, Walter pointed out the need for this, some kind of a conclusion. If you make a statement, David Snowden, okay, then what? He presented, what's the conclusion we draw from that?
he
It
just
seems like,
presented the,
in some cases, I guess that's
Yeah.
true. But sometimes we have a discussion, but no outcome. What was the term you used when we talked about it? The fact that it needs,
An action to
Action
have
item,
to have an action. Yes.
a lot of times when we're having this meeting, we just have a discussion and we don't really come up with an action.
With it.
maybe we should.
Cliff?
Yeah, I believe the only thing that are required in minutes are actions, votes that are taken. I mean,
Yeah.
anything else you put in is extraneous, but it doesn't need to be there,
Yeah.
which would make our minutes one paragraph long usually.
The only other thing that I have read is that the minutes should be written so that somebody who did not attend the meeting can get a sense of what we talked about.
Well,
I think you have that covered.
yeah,
Yes,
well,
I do too,
and
yes.
in the past, different people have taken the minutes, and I found some people took the minutes and even had quotation marks in them, which I don't think is necessary.
No.
I think if you really wanna see the meeting, you should watch it, or come, it's an open meeting. So, a lot of the things that we talk about, we do not come up with a conclusion or an action. But, I'm a biology teacher.
I'm a math teacher.
So,
I'm a kindergarten teacher.
Yeah.
That's the best.
So,
But I'm willing to take the minutes today too And I will do those two things that we began and we ended. Can you remind me what time we began on?
Yeah.
9:34, thank you.
9:34, okay.
Okay.
All righty, yes.
With those comments, I move that we adopt the minutes.
Is there a second?
To move along.
Second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, moving on to the minutes of February 12th. The same thing, the members that were in attendance, the same kind of thing we spoke about before. And also to put the Council on Aging Board meeting rather than just the Council on Aging, to differentiate between who is meeting and who isn't. Excuse me. Can I have a motion to accept?
I make a motion to approve.
Second?
I second it.
Are there any other corrections, additions? Number 8, it should be greater or not greater. It was a greater station, but but it's been removed. So so we are happy
Yeah.
that the greater station, even though it was greater, is wonderful. Anything else? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Accepted, thank you. We just very briefly will go through the, you said you had the totals for the funds.
So can we skip right to the director's update, because I have those totals included with everything?
Okay, if you'd like.
Is that okay?
yes.
Okay, so I will start with that. So just to be clear, I did reach out to David Snowden to kind of help with what you're used to as far as receiving your reports for each account. And David is moving on to a different interim position within the town. So his time was very limited to come. And so basically, what I have also been trying to do is educate myself on Munis, and it's not very easy, and I beg, borrow, and steal time from everybody over at the town manager's office. And what we were originally hoping was by now we would have had an office assistant where he or she and I would be learning that together. So unfortunately that hasn't happened, but we do have the interviews today, so I'm very hopeful that we will find our person to finish our team in the office. So for this month again, what I'm going to give you is the balances that I have so far. So for the Elders Affairs grant, we have a balance of $37,463.
Which grant is that?
That is the Elder Affairs. That's the formula grant.
Oh, that's
That's
the
the
formula
formula
grant.
grant,
Oh,
yeah.
the formula grant.
Yep,
I'm
so the
sorry.
formula grant. So we have the $37,463, which we all are aware that that money needs to be spent by June 30th. And what we are looking to do is to see if perhaps we can use some of that money to put towards a salary of one of the new positions that we're looking to fill, whether it's outreach or the office assistant, if needed. Otherwise, there are different things that we can do with that grant. Because again, we do not want to not spend it, because as everybody knows, if we don't spend it, we lose it, and that is not an option.
But part of that grant already, in fact, over half of it is already being used for salaries.
So that's for the fiscal year 21. I don't believe that for fiscal year 20 that it was divided like that, but that is something that I'm going to look into, because if that is what we can do going forward with whatever salaries we have, whether it's van drivers, myself, or
Well, the two, what do they call it? Donna and Pat.
yes, the part-time assistants.
Assistants, right. They're paid by the formula grant.
Okay.
And also the half of the new position is being paid by the not the new position, the one you're filling.
Right, the office assistant.
I think the volunteer part is paid by the grant. So we have 3 half-time paid by the grant now.
Okay, so I was not aware that those positions were coming out of the, that grant, but, I will definitely confirm that. Because again, we don't wanna leave any of that money left in the account. As far as the gift fund, we have $45,478.
45, what, I'm sorry.
45,478. I think
Okay.
it would behoove us if we started planning on, things that we could do with that money to better provide for our residents that are 60 plus that come into the center, or even if they don't come into the center, what can we give them with that money? Instead of having it just sit there. Not that I'm looking to spend it all, but it would certainly be nice to offer something.
Well, that's down 1,000 from, not quite 1,000 from last time. Last time it was 46,
Right. Well,
157.
so some of
it's down
that's-
about 500.
so some of that is the reimbursement to the friends of,
Yes.
that we give for sure.
That's an issue we're gonna have to address
Certainly.
sometime, that
Yep.
we're gonna have to go over that. Yeah.
I agree, because I think that, you know what, I'll get back to that when I start doing my report. So the revolving fund, as of yesterday, had roughly $22,500.
Okay, that's down about
Yep.
2,000, yeah. 2,200, yeah.
So,
Just one thing.
Yeah.
The revolving account also has that DOT
Mhm.
section of it as well.
correct.
Do we have any amounts for that? Do we have any kind of, because remember they put that, used to be all in the revolving account, and then they made two separate accounts because it's coming from the state. So those basically are all the same, they're used for the same thing.
Right. So I sent out a couple of emails the other day, or when we were getting ready for this agenda meeting, so people could kind of familiarize themselves with the contracts that we have. Just yesterday, I received the DOT, and I have not yet been able to educate myself on it to answer any questions on it, which is why I haven't
Okay.
shared it with you. But I did share the Shrewsbury Housing Authority contract with you.
Yes.
I believe I shared some of the WRTA contract with you. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer those if there are. From what I've seen, talking to those, both those organizations, is it's relatively the same that it's been for the past 5 years. The Shrewsbury Housing Authority gives us money each year, or each month, I should say, or, it ends up in a year, to transport the
Yes.
residents that live over in those authority complexes, and to help us maintain our vans, and that's what that money is going towards. So I did just sign a contract for, because it was expiring at the end of this month, so I did just sign another one. I'm waiting for them to sign it and hand it
Right.
back to us. As far as the WRTA, I join them monthly when I can with Kristen Lass down in Worcester to try to learn what they're offering and how we're moving forward with them. Again, it is a lot of information to learn and to keep track of. So it's an ongoing, educational piece for me. As far as the WRTA and the DOT. So I'm hoping in April, once I can review, they sent me very lengthy informational things to read. So I'm hoping once I can review, when we come back in April and I share those with you, hopefully there won't be any questions, but if there are, I'll try to find those answers for you.
I noticed that on this contract, it says COA 98. They're talking about the old van, not the new one.
So is that for the WRTA?
This is for the Shrewsbury Housing.
Right, so when we use our vans, we can do with them as we want, but when we use the WRTA vans, there are very specific schedules and routines that we have to follow.
Right.
So for instance, when voting was taking place last week, we invited all of the housing authority residents to call us, and if they needed a ride for transportation with our COA vans, we're allowed to kind of mix and mingle and make that happen. So that's why that was specifically mentioned there.
But I just thought it should probably have the new van rather than, because the old one is not running most
So
of the time.
so you mean the 19 and the 98 is what you're saying, right?
It would be the, right.
Mhm.
Either both of them or in place of, because I said the 98, it's basically in the shop most of the time now anyhow. So I think, to just, I was just, it caught my eye when I read that it was just the,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, if I may, I'm going to start with the rest of my director update. The other day, Monday, I attended a gathering at the Shrewsbury Public Library for an update on the coronavirus. And it was very informative. It honestly put my anxiety at ease to listen to all of the information that they had. But basically what it comes down to, and what I want to remind the board and anybody, watching at home or anybody that comes into the center, is that if anybody is sick or has any symptoms whatsoever, whether it be just the general cold or the flu, we are asking everybody to stay home and come back, of course, when they're feeling better. If you show up with a mask, I will get up and I will, politely ask you to go home and take care of yourself, so they can come back and enjoy what the center has to offer. So with that, the hand washing for 20 seconds, they say sing happy birthday twice. Just in case anybody wants to know what is 20 seconds. For the most accurate information, it is recommended that people visit the CDC website because they are constantly updating it to hourly, whatever they have. I did just get an email from the assistant town manager, Kristen Lass, asking, do we have sanitizer over here? And I answered her no, because we haven't been able to find it. So they are looking to get that over here. I do want to let people know that the Public Facilities Department did come here on Saturday evening, and they sprayed the entire facility down with sanitizer. I was here on Sunday with my 12-year-old, and we wiped down every flat surface with Clorox wipes and things like that. Which honestly, everybody knows needs to be done all of the time. So again, just precautions. Those people that are healthy don't necessarily need to wear the protective personal equipment. It's the sick people that should really just be containing that and not be here. But if there's any questions and if I don't have the answers to that, I'd be happy to try to get them. But for now, it's just stay home if you're sick, just to keep everybody else healthy.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Did your meeting, your seminar, talk about educating the population?
So basically, exactly what I kind of just said is, it's the hand washing, it's the limiting your experiences with somebody that may be sick. Again, the best answers for any kind of education is to go right to the CDC website, just because it is changing all of the time.
See, I was thinking more in terms of having something, a handout here.
So I did bring back some handouts. They are in the brochure circulars that I have over there. Yesterday and the day before, I did walk into a couple of groups that were happening here just to kind of talk to people and let people know what was going on, because I think the best thing is for me to be visible and to explain those myself. And they were very happy that I walked in. They were very receptive. I think the best thing that we can do is to go forward and just, again, remind people and take the precautions that need to be. So going forward, my next director's update would be the newsletter. So I appreciate everybody's patience with the newsletter and the transitions and the changes that have been going on. People were very receptive to the new change. I'm working very diligently to try to get the April newsletter out mailed. Right now, I am the one that is responsible, if you will, for the office assistant position. And so I'm working, like I said, very hard to get all of the addresses and names of everybody that requested that they want a newsletter mailed to them to be put into a Word spreadsheet. So I'm working on that. Right now, we have roughly 200 names of people that have requested them to be mailed home. I do want to mention that if people work or if people live in one of the housing complexes or an assisted living, we are not mailing to those at this time because we are delivering them in bulk. And they'll be distributed that way. It does cut down on the expenses for the mailing. If we find that there are people that insist, I would never turn anybody away. But right now we have a nice delivery method going on where people take a nice big box and they drop them off to the Towers and to Princess Gardens and to Orchard Grove and things like that. I myself went out and delivered a good 2 boxes myself. Norma?
Yeah.
So we're only mailing out 200?
So right now, roughly 200 people have requested for them to be mailed.
Right, so that's all that we're mailing out?
That's all that we have. So I will mail to everybody that requested unless they live in those public facilities. But that's what we are waiting is who missed it, who's missing it that wanted it, and those are the people that we really want to target.
Well, how are we reaching out to people that didn't come here to sign up?
So again, I have delivered, myself and a few of the volunteers have delivered to Price Chopper and the banks, the post office, the library, Wegmans. The van drivers all have them on their vans. The Meals on Wheels people took them home with them.
This is already next month's, April's?
This was March. That's what we did for March.
We just did, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so what are we doing for April?
So again, I am working on the spreadsheet to mail the 200 people that have requested for their newsletter, and then we will again get those volunteers and deliver to those same spots again, just as we discussed that we were going to do in February, in late February.
If somebody wants to get it mailed, what do they do?
All they need to do is call the senior center and say that they're looking for a mailing. If they're out of town, I forget if it's a $10 or $20. I think it's a $10. I think it's $10.
$10.
Yeah, it's a $10 request. We'll send in check or money, and if you're out of town, I'd be happy to send those. In-town people do not have to pay for those. All they have to do is call up and just request to be put on the mailing list.
Will there be a notification in the April
Yes.
newsletter
Yes.
telling people?
Yes.
That want, okay.
Yes.
And there was in the March one as
Correct.
well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
right,
It's
right,
notification, right.
Yep.
right. And is there still gonna be a get-together the last Friday of the month?
No. So because there isn't a need to put together 5,000 newsletters anymore. We don't have.
So there's somebody here that's gonna put the label on the 200.
So what I am going to do is once I get the spreadsheet done, I started it. I am not near completion. Is once I have the numbers, I then take those numbers and I take a sample of our newsletter and I bring it down to the post office. The post office then weighs it. They ask me how many do I have that I'm going to mail, and then they generate what the cost is going to be. And then so I pay them the cost, and then I come back, I make up the labels, I stick them on, or hopefully I get some volunteers to stick them on, and then we simply mail those out. I bring them to the post office and they mail those out. It is much easier to mail out 200 than it is 5,400. The whole process is a little bit different. I've already talked to the post office a couple of different times. I am the one that is overseeing the beginning of this because it happened during my transition, and then what I will do is I will pass the torch, if you will, to somebody else who's willing to take that on each month. So again, it's a learning experience. I am grateful that I have some experience because this is similar to what I did in Berlin and in Princeton. So it's not new to me, but every post office is different. So I'm working towards making it an easier transition for everybody, and anybody that still wants the newsletter, they can, if they decide they don't want it now, but in 6 months, when they see our brand new one come in July, they can sign up then. There is no start or stop time for accepting of requests of a newsletter.
Is it still proofreading group?
I'm hoping that there's still going to be a proofreading
Well,
group.
because
Yes.
I'm involved.
Yes, yes.
I was
Yeah.
involved
So the
in
only-
that. I was
yeah.
involved in the
Yes. So
mailing.
yes.
And, yeah.
So the
okay.
only one that's going to be taken away for now is the big group of the labeling and everything right there.
Okay.
Not that I'm not going to need volunteers to do the labels, because I personally don't have time to put 200 labels on them, and I appreciate the volunteers that come in to help out. But I'm not at that point yet. I'm working on that, and I'm hoping that in everything possible we will get them out in April. But I never make promises.
Yeah.
So
Because I used to buy the coffee, buy the
Right.
donuts and muffins for the
Right.
group that put the
That's
labels
right,
on,
yeah.
so I had to know what.
right.
That's right.
Holly,
But
Yeah.
yes.
in July, it's going to be a different way of doing things, right?
Not necessarily. So Linda Wagner, who is our newsletter designer at the moment, the nice thing is, even though we're changing into a different printer, the way she puts it together will still be the same. It will still be done through Publisher. The only thing that is changing is the physical appearance of the newsletter. It will be in color. We are going to do our best to elaborate more on the services that we offer and expand the things that we offer. Again, I've been hindered because I have been trying to, now I'm doing 3 positions. So I've been hindered on what I've been able to produce into the center, but that is still right here on the back of my mind. That is one of my goals. So that's the only thing that will physically change.
Would it be possible to give the publisher the mailing list and let them as part of printing?
There are some, so they don't necessarily do that. This particular publisher does not particularly do that, but they did mention that there might be a name where they can send it, where those people might be able to do it. So I'm looking into that. Again, I'm still in contract stage where I need to set up a schedule with them. There's a couple of different pieces that work before we even get there with them in July. But the company themselves is fantastic, and they stay right up on things, and they keep me going. If I don't send something in, they send me a reminder. I'm glad that they don't have a Zap caller for me, because because I'd be zapped a lot.
Yeah.
So that's where we are right there. Just to keep going, I'm putting together a meet and greet, the director, on April 30th at 1:00. It will consist of people just coming and introducing themselves if they want to meet me, asking me questions, comments, concerns. There'll be light refreshments served. So for anybody that hasn't met me already, they're more than welcome. I'll be here. I'll be visible. I won't be in my office at all. I'll be walking around as I do on occasions anyways. So I invite people to come and be there with me on April 30th. I do want to mention that there were many comments about the bookshelf that I had changed when we had bookshelves donated to us. And I take every comment and suggestion very seriously. So again, on Sunday while I was here cleaning up, I took my 12-year-old son here, and I had purchased the new bookshelves. If you haven't seen them already, take a look at them. And we put them together, and now the books lay horizontal, so people don't have to crook their neck. They're at waist height. The things that I have heard in the past couple of days is, I did hear one person say that they weren't fond of them. I have heard that people would prefer paperback books because they're lighter in weight, they're easier. My comment to that is, I don't have anything to do with the books that get donated here or the books that get put on the shelf. If the books that are on the shelves are not what people want, I invite them, if they want to do a little cleansing. Anybody that knows me knows that I like cleansing. They can grab those books and put them into the book donation bin that's out in the parking lot, and we can refresh it. But again, I don't have anything to do with the books that people bring in. I just want to make sure that people know that I hear the things that they say, and I'm doing my best to get things accomplished and to make things easier for everybody else. I just work here. I don't live here. But I'm here to make everybody enjoy when they come in here and to give them as much as I can possibly give them. And I just want to let people know that I hear them. On that note, and Barbara knows this a little bit because we were talking about the group leader packet review, is I did do away with the comment and suggestion box out in the front lobby. And the reason why I did that is because I would rather have people, instead of writing them down on a paper that I may never see, to come up to the window, and if they have a comment, complaint, suggestion, to come up to the window and voice that to the receptionist or to ask for me. But what I'm asking is if anybody has a complaint, that they come with a suggestion on how to fix it and not just leaving that for me to try to figure out. That's why I didn't want an abundance of papers on my desk to get lost. I want us all to work together, and I think that asking people to give me that feedback and that input is very important for me, and I work better that way than reading something on a piece of paper. I would rather have a face to work with people. So I did do away with that box. So here, on a good note, I did receive, without names being mentioned, we do have a donation, a person who wants to make a donation. One of them being they want to pay for the phones and the earpieces that we are purchasing for the van drivers.
Nice.
Yes.
But you already named him.
I did not.
No.
It's one of the, it's in your goals and accomplishments.
So only the board members have the goals and
Oh, okay.
accomplishments? The other thing I want to mention is that there was also an offer of a donation for the food that we serve at the 20th celebration. So
great.
that will be taken care of. And the biggest one that I'm saving is that there has also been an offer for a donation for a purchase of a new vehicle to replace COA 98.
98.
Wow.
So
How
we're
about that?
Wow.
so we're working to try to figure out how to reduce the main cost of the vehicle, so the donor does not have to pay the 100% of what it costs. There are obviously different rules and policies that we have to follow when we are purchasing the vehicle. So I'm working with my administration to try to figure out how we can make it as least expensive as possible. So that, again, that van will replace COA 98. And for those at home that are watching, that means that van is from 1998.
That's right.
So we have definitely, if we can say anything about the things that we have, we definitely use them until they can't be used anymore.
Anymore.
Yeah.
That's
So,
right.
so I thought that was a beautiful thing that I wanted to just kind of mention.
When will this occur?
So what I did was I am in conversation with Mass DOT, and they sent me a couple of spreadsheets that have different specs of the vans that we can buy. The vans now are a little different than the vans that you had purchased for the COA 19. They're a little smaller. But we get to pick out kind of like what we want it to be. Do we want it to have 3 wheelchairs and less ambulatory, or 2 wheelchairs and more ambulatory? So those are all specs that we're looking at, and with that we have to look at the data, because again, this will be a COA one, so we get to use it however we want outside of the WRTA. So we want to make sure that we order the one that is perfect for us. So with that, we'll take a little bit of time, but I'm trying to not let too much time go through, because even the hair on my neck is like standing up, like just very excited to move on with that.
It's beautiful. I know it.
So
Great idea. That's when I saw 98 on here. That's in the back of my
Right.
head because I knew about this.
well, hopefully that number will change to 2020. So
That's right. That's right.
Any of the money in the formula grant that at this point in time has to be spent by,
correct.
can any of that be used towards?
I
or
don't
not?
believe towards a vehicle. I have a green guide that's given to me. A green guide is a fancy word for a folder of things that can be
Okay.
used for the formula grant.
It has to be within the building.
Not necessarily within the building, but there are certain guidelines and things that we have to follow when we use the grant money.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that buying a van is one of them. But I could definitely look into that to kind of make sure we cross that off our
See
list
that.
or put a check next.
Whether
Yeah.
just a few
See what-
thousand
yeah.
could go towards it or
Right.
not.
Well, that
didn't
is
know.
something that I also wanted to talk, that maybe at the next meeting, or, we do have that gift fund, that could take some money off of the chunk of the top. So it is something for us to, for another discussion, perhaps not today, because I know I need to let you all have the sink in, and kind of think about how you feel about that, and we can always call another meeting, in another couple weeks or whatever, as long as we get that posted, to talk about, perhaps using some of the gift fund money.
Yeah.
To keep moving on, so we did have one round of interviews for the office assistant, and at that time, we had some fantastic candidates, but yet we have decided to keep moving on. Not that those candidates aren't still in the running, but I wanted to make sure that when we make a decision, that it's the best decision for the COA and the senior center. So we are having additional interviews right after this meeting today. So I am very hopeful that between the two, we will find that person that will become, again, part of our team, and get them trained and going.
How about for the outreach position?
So that's next on my list. So the outreach position, as everybody knows, is available. Walter Rice's last day was on Friday. I do want to mention for the people at home that there is going to be a recognition forum put on by the Friends of on April 16th. I believe it's at 1 o'clock, but it could be 12:30, I'm not sure. I haven't spoken with them. So if anybody wants to come and kind of give thanks to Walter and his 16 or 14 years of service here.
16. Yeah.
So that, again,
Well, we had a nice reception last Friday
Yep.
for him, his last day.
so I did hear about that, so that's fantastic.
So and it worked very well. We had some refreshments, and so that was sponsored by the COA,
Mm-hmm.
by this group, yeah.
So at this moment, the outreach position has not been put out there, and only there are several reasons. We want to make sure this is a very important position to fill, and it needs to be somebody who is licensed, and we need to make sure that we have the funding necessary to pay the person that comes into this role what they deserve. So we are working to try to fine tune exactly what it is, who the person is that we're looking for. They're better tune their job description going forward, because again, I want to make sure and administration wants to make sure when we get somebody in here, we want them to stay, and we want to make sure everything that we offer makes that person want to stay, whether it's the environment, the salary, the people that they're working with, and everything like that. And that's just taking us a little time. We don't want to jump the gun. So in the meantime, I did talk to Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services yesterday. So in the meantime, to help me out on my end in the office, they have generously agreed to letting me send some calls and things like that their way, because again, they are the professionals. I unfortunately have not, when Walter was here, didn't get to work with him as closely as I had wanted to understand the things that he was doing. So the last thing I want to do is when somebody calls, I give them the wrong information. Mm-hmm. So whereas Walter was working very closely with the Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services and Elder Services, and I did speak with them. So for the time being, those calls will be sent over to those two places. I have explained to my staff and the volunteers that if somebody should call and for whatever reason they're not getting the information that they are seeking, that they are certainly welcome to give me a call, and I will then find the resource or whatever the answer that they are looking for. So, I don't want anybody to feel like they don't know who that they can turn to. So, so those are the things that are in place right now to until we get want to do with the outreach position. In which case, when I find out, we will then, I'm assuming my administration will want to come and meet with the board, and we'll talk about it that way. So I thank everybody for their patience. It's been a little bit of a transition, I know, but we're not letting anything fall apart.
Good.
We're not letting that happen.
That's why I was
Okay.
wondering what was happening in
Right.
the interim.
Right.
That's
And
good, yeah.
Walter also ran a couple of groups here. Have they been
So,
canceled or what's happening?
so what happened was Walter was running a very successful meditation group here that I believe that you were part of, and upon Walter's departure with the town, it was decided within the group that they no longer were going to meet here.
No.
They wanted to meet at somebody's.
That fell through.
So I'm going to finish on that. So that they were going to meet at somebody's home, and but now with the coronavirus and everything like that, that person has said that he or she is doesn't want all of those people not knowing where they came from in their home. Rightfully so. I completely would agree. I would feel the same exact way. So, Norma, I don't know if you have contacts with any of those people or if anybody's watching, but if those people want to come back here, I would suggest that they give me a call sooner rather than later to get their spot back, because we all know that the conference room fills up very quickly. So I would invite them to get a hold of me as soon as they
There was one woman, a participant in the group, that voiced interest in taking over, but she's in Florida for 2 weeks.
So again, I can't go hunting people down for them to come here, but I would definitely invite anybody, and it could be you. And if you want to come into my office afterwards and say, you know what, Holly, put us back on that calendar. We want that meditation group to happen. I will do it as quickly as you ask me to do it.
I will get in touch with someone else to find out if they will take it over for a few
Yep.
weeks until this woman comes back.
Sure. I mean, like I said, whatever you want to do. I just want people to know that our rooms that we have here within the building, as everybody knows, they're desired and they're used. And as soon as somebody sees that there's a space available, it's gone. And I would welcome the meditation group back. I think it was a fantastic program. I think it was great for people. I think it was a great part of the outreach program. I just need somebody to contact me. That's all I ask for.
Excuse me? This meditation group, do you have somebody to take over that's been trained in mindfulness like Walter was?
Well, these are,
I mean, I know they were attendees,
well,
but Walter went to a training with the UMass.
I don't know the complete history of these. I know they have been involved in other groups, et cetera, and are people that practice.
So we can let people know that for the interim, there isn't a certified meditation leader working the group. I think that's important. Again, Barbara and I, to touch really quick, Barbara came to my office and we started working towards the group leader packet. And that is one of the things that we're working on, is when somebody wants to come in and instruct something within the facility, they give us their information. Who are you? Are you certified? Do you have insurance? So I'm very happy that Barbara has taken the reins on this and that we are starting it. There was, I think, there was almost too much to information, and I feel like less is more sometimes. So we're looking to kind of weed out the things that we don't need, and Barbara is taking care of that. And then she and I will meet again to make sure that when we have these groups as the meditation groups and the yoga and belly dancing and line dancing and all these things, we have a contact for that person or persons, and they understand the policies and procedures. And again, these are all things that we're working towards to get done. So,
Do we have a point by which you think maybe this packet will be ready?
well, so I
We
think
have talked about it for years.
Right.
The biggest improvement Holly already did with the what did you
the
call it?
volunteer
The
application.
volunteer application is wonderful. Holly created that, and
Yes.
it's the biggest improvement I've seen yet. Yes, we're just trying to streamline all the rules. You know, we passed the code of conduct in 2019, so we definitely would want to include that. But as far as the procedures and policies, it's a little 8-page long, fine print. It's just a little
Redundant.
heavy.
Yeah.
It's a little heavy.
So, but we are working
So
on it.
is this package obsolete now?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, good, I can follow.
I've got the shredder right in the office.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. So will it come to us before?
yes.
Oh yes,
Oh,
absolutely,
yes.
absolutely.
Do you think by April, is that too soon, or?
Well,
Considering our staffing,
Well, that's true,
and
too,
because
yes.
then, even if I found the perfect candidate within the first pool or today's
Oh, I
pool,
know, yeah.
you know, they still have to give their 2 weeks, and then they still have to go through a training, which will then
So
open up my time.
Maybe by June, we can.
I would say June is a better goal.
Is
is
that
it-
a goal?
is-
Well,
more-
what we've done is we've collected so much,
Right.
so many examples from so many places,
Yeah.
and now we're weeding out because a lot of it is redundant.
Right.
So we're just trying to get it down to a manageable. It won't be 20 pages long.
So
What
we'll,
works
we'll,
for
we'll
us.
plan that on June. Let's hope.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
that's a fair goal.
We can
Good.
try that goal.
Thank you. Yeah.
Just a couple other things that I wanted to talk about is, again, one of my main priorities as a director is making sure that I'm visible with all the people that are walking through the doors, and especially the volunteers, because without the volunteers, there is no senior center. They're just not. There isn't a functioning senior center, and so I was approached by a Meals on Wheels driver last week, and we sat down. And that person voiced some concerns that they had, and one of them was that when the people that get the Meals on Wheels, when they get the menu, on the menu it says that they get soup, and they haven't been getting soup, and one of the reasons is because when we get the food from Elder Services, they bring it, and they were bringing the soup in styrofoam. And Shrewsbury is anti-styrofoam. So instead of trying to figure out how to make that work, what happened, from what I'm learning, is they just did away with the soup. And I don't think that is fair to our people at home that are getting those meals. If it says soup, they should get soup.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I would like to ask the board is that I would like to purchase the bowls, the cardboard bowls with the covers that are necessary for our residents to get the soup. I don't have a price yet, but if you give me a cap of what it is that I could spend on it, at least for the next month, and then in April I could come back and say, okay, well, these soup bowls cost this. Is this acceptable? Can we move forward? I have talked to Elder Services, and I did ask them, perhaps they too can find an alternative, because if we don't accept styrofoam, our residents still deserve what they need. But in the interim, I would like permission to purchase bowls of soup, the bowls for the soup for our residents to receive.
Can I have a motion?
Excuse me?
Yes.
Should we do we have a price range before we vote? How can we can't actually vote without knowing?
So this is what I'm asking you. So this is what I'm asking the board. If you can come up with a dollar figure. So even if you say,
We have to come up with a dollar.
so if you say, Holly, okay, for March, for the rest of March until we meet again in April, you have $100 to spend on bowls. And so then I will purchase the bowls, whether they're $100, and if they're not, I will come back and I'll let you know that I couldn't get bowls for $100. I'm pretty certain that I can with the cardboard ones. But I mean, even if you said $50, just something to start with, so we can get people what they need. So that is for you all to discuss on what monetary number, what number I can use to. And most of our supplies are purchased through W.B. Mason.
Oh, okay. Norma?
I can see us doing that for a few months, but I don't think we should have to do that. I mean, Worcester, that provides the meals and everything, should
So
make accommodations.
So I agree with you. So after this person came to me with the comments and concerns, is I immediately reached out to Elder Services because there were other
I
comments
was
and
just going to
concerns.
say, I'm sure there are other towns that are running into the same
Right.
thing. We can't be the only one.
Right. So I did contact them, and I talked to these people about. I talked to Elder Services about the concerns that were brought up, and they did say that in fact, no. They just send us right now big vats of soup in like a plastic container, and then we've been giving it out to people that come for lunches and things. So I have a meeting on Monday, as a matter of fact, with Elder Services. There's a couple people coming, and from what I hear now, the person that I spoke to's higher up is coming. So we're going to speak with some of the Meals on Wheels drivers on Monday to kind of go over some other things that were brought up, and that is something that I'm going to bring up again because I agree with you 100% that I don't
really.
feel that it should be an expense that comes off on the town, but I also don't want to neglect the things that the Meals on Wheels residents are expecting.
That's right.
Right. Well, that's
Yeah.
why I said a month or two, fine, but after that, we shouldn't have to.
Barbara?
How many people get Meals on Wheels?
So in a day, and Shashi, correct me if I'm wrong, they're like on a weekday can be anywhere from 20 to 25, and on Thursdays or Fridays for the weekends, it can go up to 40 because people want their food for their
I'm
weekends.
sorry, what did you just say?
So on weekdays,
Yes,
it could be on a daily basis anywhere from 20 to 25
per route.
per
Per
route.
route.
Per
Right.
route,
I was just
right.
going
I
to
was going to
say.
say,
Yeah.
it's more like 125.
Right.
Yeah, and how many
150.
routes?
So
Fine.
there's 5.
I
So
think we're also
125.
sending it to Boylston,
Sending what to Bliss?
sending food. They come here to pick up theirs.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, I did not know that. So I would have to talk to Boylston to see if they use styrofoam or anything like that. Because obviously, not that we wouldn't want to help us Boylston, but we're not going to use our.
The Meals on Wheels that we're distributing now, they're portioned out into trays.
Mhm.
And there's a white paper bag
Mhm.
that gets the bread and the milk. Who's paying for these right now?
I would say Elder Services is because it's not coming across my desk.
So it seems to me that they used to pay for the styrofoam containers. Now we want to switch to paper. Doesn't it make sense that they should pay for it also?
So
And I should think paper would cost less than styrofoam.
Well, it's not just paper, it's wax, something to
Right.
prevent it
Yeah,
from
right.
breaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with you, and that's one of the things that I love about being able to come together and talk about things out loud because that's where we come up with the solutions. So I absolutely agree with you, and I can definitely reach out to Elder Services to say, you're already exactly what you just said. You're already paying for these other things, and we can't be the only town in
Yeah.
this day and age that isn't allowing
No,
styrofoam.
I know it. Yeah.
So if you'd like to table that and we don't talk about it until next month, and I'll let you know what I've come up with working with Elder Services. In the meantime, I guess we just have to keep delivering the food as
I would like us to have
something in the
a
meantime.
motion
Let's stop. Yeah.
to cover
Okay.
it before
In the
the
meantime.
Elder Services.
Okay.
In the
Yeah.
meantime.
Well,
Yes, Barbara.
just quickly looking, I think you can get about 50 for about $19.99, and so how about 200 to at least cover, or $300 to at least how much would we?
So again, so just like
Seems like a
Shashi
lot
just
of
said,
people,
that,
yeah.
there's about 20 to 25 people on a route, which is 5 routes a day.
Okay,
It's 100, say 125 people a day,
okay,
5 days.
yeah.
So you're talking 600 something or other.
Well, the other possibility too is we could always use cups with the lids.
Oh,
The flat cups with the lids because it doesn't really matter. So I don't know. I can
Yeah.
look. So if you all just want to agree on a number,
Uh-huh.
and we can even just go a couple days and hand out the soup and just see how it goes, because I might order something that doesn't work, or I might order something that's fantastic, or I might be able to find them cheaper on Amazon.
Yep.
So because I'm in the process of trying to develop an Amazon account for us, so I can go purchase those things. Yeah.
two things. One is, soup is maybe once or twice a month.
Oh, it's not every day?
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So that's even better.
Oh,
That's even better.
easier.
Okay, I did not
Okay.
know that. Okay.
All right then.
I didn't either.
So, like,
You wanna make a
I
motion?
make a motion that we at least give
Authorize,
authorize $300 for right now and to be changed when you find out what we really need.
Sure. May I take that out of the gift fund?
Wait a minute, we need a second.
Second.
Second, okay,
Sorry.
yes.
May I use the gift fund to purchase those?
I make an offer that we use the gift fund to do that,
Yes, yes,
to try to see if that
yes.
works.
Just add that to the motion. The $300 from the gift fund
From the
Right.
gift
will be
fund,
used to buy
to buy the
the
soup.
soup. Yes,
But I think before you actually purchase it, I would like you to get in touch with Elder Services again.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yep,
Before you
absolutely.
rush into it.
yeah, yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, any more
the
discussion?
thought that
Shasha?
crossed my mind is perhaps you ought to ask the restaurants in the area that have DoorDash and takeout food all the time. You know, most of the restaurants have takeout now. Even
Where they
big-
get their things.
Where they get their things, and buy in bulk.
Yep. I absolutely
true,
agree, and
too.
that's why I'm trying to put the Amazon together, because anybody that's ever shopped off of Amazon, you know that you can buy in bulk. So it's just been a little hard for me to get that line of credit going and trying to make sure that I'm doing everything right, but that is something that I'm trying to do.
What if any of the restaurants would donate?
That's what I was thinking.
You know,
Yeah.
absolutely possible.
We can look into it. Yeah.
And certainly if there's
Anybody watching?
Well, if there's anybody on the board that would like to reach out to some of the restaurants, you know, just to ask those questions,
See what they do.
I would really appreciate it too.
So-
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we have motion on the floor to authorize $300 from the gift fund to cover the interim for the soup bowls. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Oh, unanimous.
Fantastic.
Yes.
I just have a couple of more things to touch really quickly. Is, as Barbara mentioned before, I had been working and have completed the new updated volunteer application. I hope you all had a chance to look at it.
Yes.
So one of the things that I had mentioned, I think it was last month, or it could have been in January, I'm not sure, is one of the things that I wanted to do was I wanted to make volunteer opportunities that really kind of utilize the skills of the people that live in Shrewsbury. And I wanted to make it a little less general. And so, you know, there are things now where it's, you know, I put singing group coordinator. I've done asking for somebody to help with the intergenerational programs, fitness instruction, gardening. I even put one, I can't tell you how much I am looking to have people that are homebound still able to participate and volunteer for the senior center and council on aging. So one of the things I put at the bottom was, you know, if somebody's there that wants to knit crochet lap robes for people that might be at home, and things like that. I know that crocheting is very big. The friendly senior phone calls, we get a lot of calls that come across our receptionist desk of people that are just home and just looking for somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
And it would be a fantastic opportunity for somebody else that was at home to make those calls and connections. You know, I'm looking to start up the friendly visitor program where people go into homes and, you know, can sit and read a book to somebody or things like that. So I'm really hoping that the new volunteer sheet, and I left extra boxes and I left extra space because I'm hoping that eventually I'll fill that space with things that people want to do, just not be a receptionist and things like that. Not that I don't love my receptionists, because without them I wouldn't get any work
No,
done.
yeah, that's true, that's true, yeah.
And I want to make sure that people understand too is that the Meals on Wheels drivers do get a stipend. And on the old volunteer sheets, it didn't say that. And I think for some people, that's important. It's not a ton of money, you know, that we offer. Right now, it's $5 a route. and in July it goes up to $6 a route. But it is something to kind of take away when they're using their cars and things like that. And we are in desperate need of Meals on Wheels drivers. Because getting those dinners to people at home is just so crazy important.
It's one of the most important things we do.
Two questions
Charging.
about this form.
Yep.
Do you think it might be necessary to explain what the letter Corey stands for?
Oh, Corey, sure, I can put that in. Like a Corey form. Yep.
No, C-O-R-I.
Yeah,
What
that's-
does that stand
So
for?
so the Corey. So I don't know exactly.
It's a background check.
It is a background check. It's a personal check, making sure nobody has any criminal activity in their past.
Yeah.
And that's for anybody that comes into the center. So whether you're a receptionist or a Meals on Wheels driver, or any kind of volunteer, people will be asked to do a Corey check. It goes through the police.
The police
Yep.
department, yeah.
And, we ask for a copy of the photo ID, so we make sure that everybody is safe.
Yeah. So,
The Corey check can take several months. And
No.
volunteers have to understand, it might take,
No,
No.
the Corey checks take about less than a day now.
really?
Yes. So what they do is they take your social security number. So when people fill out the applications, I take those applications, I put them in a sealed envelope, I walk across over, right now, when I get an office assistant, they'll do it, but I take them across over to the Human Resources Department, I hand them to Christina Anderson, and she then takes them and she does the Corey check for me, and then she calls me and says, okay, you're good to go. And she initials them, I take them back, and then I put them in a locked folder inside of my office, and it's less than a day. Sometimes she even tells me that same day.
It didn't used to be that
It didn't
way.
used to be. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. It didn't used to
We've
be.
lost volunteers that way.
Right.
Because they'd fill in the form and they'd wait and nothing would happen.
and
for
Right.
nothing
several months.
happened.
Well, and people should also know that if they're going to be a Meals on Wheels driver or a Meals on Wheels staff member, not only do they have to do a Corey form for the Shrewsbury, the center, they also have to do an additional Corey form for the elder services because it's completely different. And people are like, oh, why do I have to do two Corys? Because there are different various ways of doing Corys. The last thing that I want to say, my mouth is getting dry.
You're running
Is-
out of time also.
Yes.
Yeah, we've got to, yeah.
Well, we have until 11. I just wanted to use 10:45 to be,
Oh,
to make
okay.
sure that's when we have to be out.
We'll talk fast.
Yep.
yeah.
Is my accomplishments and my goals. The same paper that I gave
Yes.
you all to just look at is the same thing that I handed to Kevin Mizikar, our town manager, and our assistant town manager, Kristen Lass. And the numbers that you see on the side just represent is it going to be 60 days, 120 days, is it a year? Some of them I said it's ongoing. Did you get, yep, there you go. You've got those.
Yeah.
So it's funny because a lot of people I show them to and they're like, oh my gosh, you accomplished so much. And I look at it like, oh man, if I had the office assistant, I could have done a lot more, you know? So I am really enjoying my time with Shrewsbury. I am really enjoying, coming in every day. Again, I look at the clock sometimes and it's 3 o'clock and I say, oh my gosh, it's 3 o'clock. I don't say, oh my gosh, it's only 3 o'clock. And I'm still happy to say that that's exactly how every single day has been. So I'm looking for all of those things to grow every time we meet. That is all I have.
Well, I had just a few items.
Okay.
I went through some of the other things that we had that we haven't had an update on.
Okay.
And one or two word answers.
Mm-hmm.
Computers.
Computers are coming in and will be installed on this Friday. They will be here at 8:30 in the morning. So what happened was the delay is that because there's so much wiring and you have to make sure that things have firewalls and all the things that I don't understand,
No.
had to go through Selco through the center through the town. The company had to come here. They had to put the wiring in. There was a little delay on trying to get people in, but they are going to be here at 8:30 on Friday morning. So you'll notice that I've already rearranged the front lobby, so those
I haven't
desks.
been out there. No.
So I did rearrange the front lobby, so the desks are already there and ready to go. Oh, by the way, I will not be here on Friday. I'm actually taking a vacation day, but thank you.
Well, we'll come and watch them.
Okay,
Oh, that's the Memory Cafe, David. That won't
that won't interfere with
That won't
anything.
interfere because they do that in the other room.
Right.
That's good. Just dawned on me. Yeah. Did we ever find the big TV for the hallway?
No, so I did reach out to our former office assistant with no response. And I have literally turned up every nook and cranny in this entire building, and I have reached out to public facilities, I have reached out to IT. Nobody has any knowledge of it. If somebody else, I'll gladly give you my key to look around. Maybe I have a naked eye and I just didn't see it, and it's inside. But no, I did not find a TV to put in the hallway.
It was my understanding that it was here. The one that's going in the hallway, it was my understanding that it was bought, and
Do we have a receipt?
I haven't seen anything.
And when
What I was told.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be installed when they installed the computers.
So, and also I was in contact with the person that, I believe, Rick Ford, I think is his name, who put in the projections and things like that. I did speak with him, not last week, but the week before, and he said he had already been compensated for the work to come in to put the TV up. So my question to you was, this was prior to me getting here, when was it approved for that assistant to purchase that television? Was it just approved and maybe not yet purchased yet, or?
Well,
I
that's
thought-
the assistant that bought the greeter station.
I thought it was approved through last year's formula grant. I thought it was part of that. It was $1,200, I think.
Because that seems very steep for our television to
But
go
it's,
up.
it's one of those
It's a big one.
great big huge whatever kind of thing.
Did you have?
I have a question.
Especially-
Yeah.
What about Bob Cox?
I don't know who Bob Cox is.
Bob Cox used to be the old facilities manager.
Mhm.
That's the story behind it. I want to go, it's not the place to talk about it. I'll tell you the background. But I believe it was all bought under his jurisdiction. And he retired at the end of last year, or the year
Yes.
before? No, not last
Last
year.
year, last year.
2018. He
No.
retired at the end of 2018.
Oh, did he? Oh, okay. He's
But
been-
I
he's been
was
retired
told
a
that
year?
he's still employed in some other capacity by the town.
Okay, so at least I have a name to try to get a hold of. So I'll ask that person.
Because I know several years we talked about it, and finally last year, I was told, we all were told that it had been purchased and that it was here.
So again, I would give any one of you my key to look through all of the closets here, because.
Well, you can't miss it. I
It would
mean,
be
it-
hard to miss.
Well, right. So I'm just wondering.
No.
So I'll contact Bob Cox. If anybody else, like I said, wants to walk around just to look. Otherwise, we really should decide whether or not we will repurchase, because I'm not sure how I would find out where that item would be.
Who would have the receipt?
See, Bob would know.
it should
I am
be-
going to find out.
It should be with all the formula grant kind of things that were purchased. The list we got that someplace I mislaid it. We got in October or November.
So that item would not be acceptable for a formula grant purchase. So my thought is it would probably just be under, it wouldn't be under supplies, but it might have just gone out of the revolving account. I can try to work with some of the departments in town. I just think it would be, I mean, we don't even know where to start looking.
But the list that David gave us for the things that were paid out of the formula grant in the fall, if you could get that list,
Okay,
he gave us that in October or November. The things that the formula grant paid after the fact,
okay. I will work on that.
and we'll see.
Yep.
Also, the name tag machine, did we ever find the name tag machine?
I didn't know we were looking for a name tag machine.
We
I've been
we
having.
supposedly got one of those last year.
So I've seen name tags in there, and right now I've been having people kind of decorate their own, if you will, as long as they
Because
have.
I lost mine,
Yeah.
so
I didn't know we had one, so, and I'm not exactly sure what it would look like.
I don't either. I have
So-
no idea. I don't know what the name tags look like. but it was a machine that was bought, I thought last year with the formula grant.
Well, I will look,
That's another machine. Security cameras,
So, that is still being reviewed by the public facilities. So Keith Baldinger, I have talked to him numerous times about the cameras, and I still believe that they are looking to figure out where they would purchase them, and would they be outside or inside. So they're trying to
we
get
want both.
So they're trying to, so they need to do their own homework on cost effectiveness, of course, and going forward on that.
I got a question.
Yes.
At previous meetings, we have talked about it. We're talking about two completely different systems. One is the town-wide system that's under Keith Baldinger. We're talking, what Louis and I have been talked about is, we need something to monitor the hallways and stuff like that, so you can see from the office what's going on in the different rooms.
Yes,
Who's in here?
That's totally different.
Right, no,
That's only has to be on when senior center is open.
Right.
Whereas the other system is open, is alive, 24 hours, 24/7, and the police can watch it.
They are, Cliff?
Yes.
Yeah, I know, I found something on
Oh,
the
okay.
screen here. From our October meeting, there was a report on the formula grant estimates versus actual. It says announcement display screen TV, $1,200 estimate, actual was $900. So that would suggest if it shows up as an actual, it was bought.
That was what I had, yeah.
Well,
Hang on,
so that was,
Isn't that for the TV that's there now?
No, that's
big
the
one?
one in the kitchen. That's
Yeah.
a different one.
No, not the dining room.
The dining room, I mean.
okay, so that's not the one that we're seeking, the one that's going in the hallway, that's going to
Yes.
talk.
Message board.
Yeah, the
Yes.
message board that's going to talk about our events. But perhaps that might be where the confusion is that the one that you're talking about that was $900 to $1,200 was the one that was in fact purchased, but it is in the dining hall, and the one that was supposed to go in the lobby has not yet been purchased.
No,
I
no,
suspect
the
not.
one in the kitchen or the dining room, that was put in when they put in all the overhead wiring, when they did all that stuff, that was put in there, and that's been a year or more ago. That's been a long time. This one was just this year.
So unless we can find, and you know what, I think that's the best thing to do is go back and look at old minutes to see when it was discussed, just as Cliff is doing. So Cliff, I would invite you that if you could take some time and kind of go through some more and then get back to us, because I think it'd be a lot easier than me trying to dig through all of those munis reports of any kind of
Yeah, we can go
expense. And like I said, I have gone through the facility and I have not found a television or any kind of monitor or anything like that that would go up there. And I do remember upon the last week or so that the office assistant was here that they did mention that there was one to go there, but I do not recall that person ever saying that they actually had one. So I'm just going on my memory. It could be completely false, but
I'll check
Yep.
through and
yep.
see if we can
But I think the
find it.
minutes are the best place to look for that. I just want to send a reminder that we do only have a few more minutes.
We have two basic things to talk about. The 20th celebration, I don't know if you've heard or not, we're putting off till September to be a part of the Spirit of Shrewsbury month. So it's going to be second or whatever week.
I think I sent out the papers for everybody to review the 20th celebration. Did I not? Or did I?
No.
I didn't put that in there? Oh, I meant to. I apologize.
Okay, so we, so I just, and also the volunteer recognition luncheon.
Yes, we do need to talk about that. It was when I spoke with all of the volunteers back in January or the beginning of February about the volunteer recognition lunch. I had suggested that we would have it somewhere outside of the senior center, just because, you know, everybody comes here every single day, and it would really be nice to get outside and go somewhere else and be social and through the formula grant, volunteers that work at least 20 hours a year. Each volunteer that works at least 20 hours a year gets there's $17 put aside for each of those people. So I did, as a matter of fact, yesterday reach out to the Tavern on the Square in Shrewsbury, and they do have a room, I guess it's a patio room, that's like a four-season patio room, that they do fit up to, I think they said like 120 people. And they said that they could accommodate some kind of buffet or sit-down meal if we wanted to do it there. And again, that was just the one phone call that I put out just to kind of get the ball rolling, because just like you, it's like, I don't want to leave all these things undone. But if somebody has another suggestion of another place we could go to, whether it was, you know, a golf course, or as long as it's within our budget.
How many people are we talking about?
So I need to sit down with my office assistant Donna Messier and really talk to her about how many volunteers that we have. I have a list, and I want to say it's probably at least 40 people, between, you know, the people that work in the office and our Meals on Wheels drivers and things like that. I think there's a lot of people, but I don't have an actual number yet.
I just know that the last few years that we've given certificates to like 250 people.
Just going to say,
Oh, okay.
it was more than 40 people that attended, that each year would
I mean,
attend.
So as long as we remember that the guidelines.
They gave to everybody.
Right.
They gave to everybody, you know, not necessarily how many hours or
Right.
whatever, just everybody, whoever walked in here got a certificate.
Right, and that is completely fine.
Because I had to sign them one year, so that's why I know how many
Right.
there were, and
So that is
So-
fine, but just as I recall, just as I mentioned, in order for the formula grant to pay for it, a person has to have at least 20 hours of volunteer service within the year to receive the $17 a person. So there might be people that have volunteered, that have only volunteered 5 hours, and I don't want to discount any of their volunteerism, but as far as paying for a luncheon, it has to be documented that somebody worked 20 hours. We can certainly have something else on a separate occasion with refreshments for those that haven't met the requirements, because as I mentioned, I don't want to omit anybody, but I do have to follow regulations.
when are you thinking of having it?
So I would rather have it in June before school gets out and people go on vacation. That would be my perfect scenario to have it.
Okay.
And I know previous years, there were probably a few people that were also invited that maybe hadn't volunteered in the previous year, but had put in so much time previously that were also included.
So I understand that, and it has to be on a year-to-year.
No, I
so
just
it's-
wanted
right,
to throw that
right.
out
No,
because,
yeah.
because I know, you know,
They were acknowledged, right,
Right.
for their service.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's not a luncheon for spouses. It is strictly just
right.
for the volunteers.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else?
Does anybody have anything? I'm trying to see. The tax work-off form, you said you had redone it. Can we get a copy of it?
So it has not yet been. So Kevin Mizikar is looking at it first,
Oh, okay.
and then I would be happy to share that.
Okay.
So
good.
as of right now, for this year, we are still following the forms that were used previous years. But I'm just working on an updated one.
Okay.
so for the volunteers, will this be last year's, I mean, will it be for the current year?
We're talking
or-
about the luncheon again?
Yes,
It would be for fiscal year 20.
so they
so-
will have to be put in
July to
20
July.
hours. Oh, for the
July
whole
to
fiscal
June.
year,
Yep.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, I get it.
Fiscal year, right. So, do you have anything else anything that we haven't covered? Because I'm trying to look at all the little notes that I put in here to see if I can, I think we kind of did everything.
Oh, I just have one
Yes.
question. So are you getting the volunteer hours off of my senior center?
I do get some of them off of my senior center. Others, I'm going to have to talk to some people because I know not everybody uses that.
Right.
So I'll have to talk to anybody who directly supervises. So, for instance, Beth. I'd have to talk to Beth in the kitchen.
Well, that's what I'm thinking,
And
you
I'd
know.
have to talk to Donna Messier and myself and kind of and I might have to make some phone calls just to see. Because, of course, I don't want to exclude anybody. And I know that the way I want to track it going forward, especially come start of the fiscal year 21, is that all volunteers are going to have to use this My Senior Center software, and that's how I'm going to have it tracked.
That's why I was
yeah.
questioning that, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And of course, the same goes for the board. So, you know, especially starting fiscal year 21, when we have a board meeting, you really should be putting your time into there, so everything is tracked. That way, there's no second guessing, and there isn't me trying to follow up with other people.
Yeah.
So that's what the volunteer coordinator will be doing to make sure that all
Oh,
stays.
good.
Question?
Yep.
Yes.
That sign-in station is still erratic.
Yes, I
It
know.
doesn't always recognize your swipe.
So there
And I
is.
can imagine people just walking away.
So that does happen, and I am working with the company to try to get a new cord. It's basically just the cord becomes loose and knocks out, and not everybody realizes that. And thank goodness for Bob Esposito over in the public facilities, because he's such a gem, and he comes right over and he does it, and he's like, yep, it's all set.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Barbara?
And it's so important that everybody do check in, because that helps us keep safe here.
Yes.
Because we know who's here.
Mhm,
Yeah,
exactly.
so
right,
people
that's right.
really should check in.
And I'm remiss in that, I know that. So I ought to be better. Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic.
That's the time.